Hello, imperfect, flawless humans. You have clicked on the video of Nitsa Gamer's Sonic Boom Vlogs, Episode 3, Translate This. He is going to be talking about this episode, giving his critiques, his opinions, and his impressions, in the hopes to get likes, views, subscribers, and ad revenue.
Okay. Hey guys, Nitsa Gamer here, the real Nitsa Gamer, so you gotta see that. So yeah, this is Sonic Boom Vlogs, Episode 3, Translate This.
Nitsa definitely dislikes me.
Alright, so now we're on to our third episode, Translate This. And I gotta say, this episode is, in my opinion, better than the first two. So yeah, this is actually pretty good news, an episode that is better than the first two episodes. So in episode 1, we get the introduction with Sonic and Tails and pretty much like the main setting, and this is an episode without Sticks. Episode 2 introduces Sticks, but as I said, it was a horrible introduction. So we definitely do get to see more of her, as well as Amy and Knuckles in this episode. In fact, their appearances are just as equal as Sonic. Tails is definitely more the main character in this. So basically the plot of the episode is that Tails creates a robot called the Universal Translator, or UT for short, and basically what he intended this robot to do is to translate languages. So he demonstrates it with a bunch of baby birds and a mother, and basically one of the baby birds is not happy with the way that the mother has given them their food, and yeah, basically Tails intended it to translate languages until Knuckles comes in and says,
Hey, it works!
Didn't see that one coming.
It's still talking?
I thought this thing just translated birds.
and then it actually turns out rather than actually translating what people are saying into English, it's actually translating what is actually going on in their head. So yeah, this actually leads to comedy as well as conflict and tension between our main characters, as basically Knuckles, who is basically like, hey, it works, trying to be the kind guy, but he's the one that is more doubtful. Like, surprisingly, even though like Knuckles has a dumb personality in the new TV show, or in the Sonic Boom universe in general, he is still kind of aggressive. When you do listen to what UT is translated, you can kind of assume that, in a way, they're trying to stay faithful to the personalities of the characters, even though they changed them around. Because Knuckles is completely backwards, but the way it's translated shows that they're sticking with the fact that he's a dumbass, but also for the fact that he can get aggressive as well. So I think that's actually pretty good. And same thing with like Sticks and Amy. I mean, Sticks is actually pretty funny because basically whenever she says something, pretty much the robot says exactly what she's saying. So basically it's showing that Sticks is a character that is so paranoid that basically the first thing that comes out of her mouth is actually the first thing that goes on in her head. So she's definitely the most honest character. And yeah, Sticks, as I said before, definitely was paranoid. Like, looked like she was more of a paranoid character in the last episode. And yeah, it seems like that's the personality that they're bringing out. And she's so over-energetic. Like, she's really energetic. She's pretty hyper and all that. And for the most part, you would think that this would actually create such an annoying character, but it seems like they really found a balance that actually made her not only kind of enjoyable, but kind of funny. So yeah, I really have no problem with Sticks. I mean, it definitely shows you that even though a character can be overhyper, paranoid, or really active, they can be interesting if you play with it really good. Make it funny, make them have a personality. Unlike a certain character that I know from the Sonic universe. Seriously, guys, Amy is worse than Charmy the f***ing Bee. And yeah, when Amy gets translated, like, she's definitely a character that tries to calm things down, but what's going on in her head is definitely a little more mean-spirited than usual. And there's also a hint right before Tails actually turns it off that Amy actually does have a crush on Sonic.
Shut that thing off before it tells Sonic that I love.
What was he saying?
Nothing important.
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't really see that coming. Or maybe I didn't see that coming because it was my first time watching the episode. But yeah, basically it shows in like Rise of Lyric as well as the new TV show that Amy Rose is given like a whole new personality. Basically kind of the same personality as she was from the original series, except she doesn't have a crush on Sonic. But it actually hints briefly in this episode that she actually does love Sonic. And love in more of a romantic kind of way, actually. Like, she actually does love Sonic, but she seems to actually keep it more on the inside rather than just let it out and be crazy like a fangirl like she was in the original series, which in a way I think is an update, like a huge update. I mean, I personally don't mind Amy, fangirling over Sonic, which is usually the main reason why a lot of people hate her. But yeah, for the fact that the TV show seems to actually be having her keeping those feelings for Sonic on the inside, I think is definitely an update. So it's definitely good to know that she still does love Sonic, it's just she's not going to let that all out. So yeah, this basically creates tension between our main characters, and then Tails gets embarrassed, and meanwhile, you actually have Dr. Eggman who is spying on the whole thing, and he realizes, this robot is creating tension between our nemesis. What I think we need to do is actually give him an identical robot and make the tension even stronger. So basically, he builds a whole new robot, has Orbot and Cubot steal UT overnight, and basically uses the fake UT to actually create that tension even more to the point where they actually start fighting each other.
Get off of me!
So once Tails actually finds out that Dr. Eggman actually stole UT, it's up to him and him alone to actually go and save him. But instead, they end up creating a deal where basically Tails actually ends up working with Dr. Eggman rather than getting UT back because, well, he was surrounded and gunpointed by pretty much all the other robots. So for a basic setup on the episode, I can definitely say this is a better concept. Like, the first episode, basically Sonic fires Tails just because he got into an accident during a whole fight with Dr. Eggman. And then episode 2, Dr. Eggman goes over to their house and sleeps over as a roommate to later deceive him into believing that he's gonna turn a whole new leaf when it's really a part of his big plans to make him sleep deprived so that way he can beat him. In this episode, it seems a little more smart and straightforward, even though, yeah, the idea of a robot translating their thoughts is kind of weird. It actually really works. In fact, it actually really brings out the characters even more in quite a unique way. I mean, it actually shows what they're actually thinking inside their head. Like, you got Sonic, Amy, and even Knuckles, who are kind of negative towards each other, but for the most part try to keep that thought inside their head. And then you got Styx, where basically anything that comes out of her mouth is pretty much what she's thinking anyway. And then you got Tails, who basically, like, tries to say, yes, this is all part of my plan, but then the robot actually turns back and says, I didn't intend it this way, but I'll just take the credit anyway. And then when it translates Dr. Eggman, it's basically just him, giving credit for himself, like, I am Eggman, I am awesome, and all that. And then you got Orbot and Cubot, and while I don't think Cubot actually contributes much to the episode, Orbot seems to be crapped on a lot by Eggman, by having Eggman saying, you are no longer, like, second place in my whole entire lair. You are down to, like, 350-something.
347.
Oh, man, I feel sorry for these robots. I mean, seriously. First he tells that Orbot and Cubot have no souls, and then he throws paper at them in the first episode, and now he pretty much, craps on them for actually... I don't know. I just feel sorry for Orbot and Cubot, and they definitely show them much more in this episode, and they're definitely much more enjoyable. Or they're definitely really enjoyable. That's for sure. So yeah, as a whole, it's definitely a better episode than episode 1 and 2. And it definitely dives into the characters, into what they actually think, in kind of a creative way, actually. And then, of course, the entire plot is actually a pretty good payoff for the most part. And I really like how Styx is really, really honest until the very last scene. There's actually one thing that I have never brought up in the first 2 episodes, and that has to be the action scenes. The action scenes in the show, at least from the first 3 episodes that I've watched, are really well done. Now, they're not really as fast-paced as you might imagine them being, But for the most part, I think it's paced perfectly to the way where it basically catches like a child's attention span. Like, it's not way fast-paced where basically it would lose a child, but it's not too slow-paced where it would actually lose an audience that really want fast-paced action, or for the people who are faithful to the Sonic series. So basically, I think the action is well balanced out, and it's actually pretty fun. And in this episode, it's no exception. It actually is quite a fun action scene. So basically, my final verdict for this episode would be an 8 out of 10. I know, I'm jumping 2 stars. I mean, I gave the first 2 episodes a 6, but I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10. So yeah, the extra 2 stars is really mostly because they do dive into the characters, and the concept of the episode is actually a pretty solid idea. And I like how the idea does actually show a little bit more personality, but also inner thought to our characters. And for the most part, the whole entire scene with them actually finding out what's inside their head is actually not only pretty funny, but it actually does open up, like, who they actually are, but also what they think. And I think that's actually a very smart idea. And I can definitely understand Knuckles and Amy's character, as well as Styx, a lot more than I did in the first 2 episodes. So yeah, as a whole, it's a pretty solid episode. I like it better than the first 2, and I honestly can't wait to see more. And I'm not going to say that this episode is decently good, because honestly, I think this is actually a pretty good episode. So yeah, I can honestly say, I'm having speech impediment, just leave me alone. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review of Translate This, and pretty good episode. Go check the show out for yourself, because I can honestly say that the show itself is actually pretty good. Rise of Lyric, not worth it. But the TV show, however, you'll definitely find yourself having fun watching it, that's for sure. And I can honestly say I can't wait to watch episode 4. So thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next Sonic Boom Vlogs. Goodbye.